We are done. Our latest and last year of homeschooling is in the books.
So today we're going to be doing our annual homeschool year in review, sharing all the highlights and lowlights from the past year, what worked and what didn't. So let's go ahead and get started.
So we have been homeschooling for a grand total of 20 years here, and now we are done. It's the end of the road. Kate graduates on May 20th.
And I'm very glad. I'm very glad. It's been an interesting year, but it's gone by very fast. It's a little bittersweet, but I'm very thankful to be just done with all of it.
So we have loved our homeschool journey. We would do it again in a heartbeat for sure, but now we are done and it's time to move on.
So we're going to start first with our favorites, and we're going to start with books. So two of my favorite books were A Girl of the Limberlost by Jean Stratton Porter, which we're agreed on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Loved it.
And then also The Count of Monte Cristo. Gotta love him. We were with him for so long. He's like an old friend.
Gotta love the old Count, right? Okay, so and then my favorites, I loved How to Make Great Decisions by Father Mike Schmitz, a very short but very, very helpful book. And then we both, I think, really enjoyed The Other Side of Beauty by Leah Darrow. So those two with A Girl of the Limberlost, my favorites, very different books, all of them, but all very good.
So for favorite class, mine was The History of Australia, taught by Philip Campbell on Homeschool Connections. I knew nothing about the history of Australia, and it turns out it's pretty crazy. And then you have Philip Campbell, who's also pretty crazy on top of it. So it was just a lot of fun and very interesting.
And then my favorite class was also taught by Philip Campbell at Homeschool Connections, and it was the Archeology of the Bible, a super cool class. He walks you through all the places in the Holy Land that are associated in some way with the Bible. For instance, there is a street, I think it was in Jerusalem, that is super old, and archaeologists believe that Father Abraham himself might have walked on that street. So that's amazing. I never knew it existed. He also showed us the Ishtar Gate, which is a gate that the prophet Daniel himself probably saw often when he was in exile in Babylon. And this set of gates, it was only excavated in the 1940s, so it's relatively new on the scene, but a living piece of history, so fascinating. Okay, so if you're thinking like, oh, that class sounds really good, we'll go watch it. It is being retired from Homeschool Connections at the end of the month because it is fairly old, but hopefully he'll go and redo it. He's redoing a lot of his older classes, so there's still hope for that one. It was so good.
And we also want to give a shout out to The Joy of Mathematics from Wondrium. This was a really, really fun class. The professor, Dr. Arthur Benjamin, is such a math nerd, but the class is all the better for it.
Yes, he is full of the joy of math. He talks about so many interesting things. The joy of pi, the joy of the number 9, all kinds of math tricks, Fibonacci numbers, just anything you can imagine. He is such a math nerd, but you gotta love him. If you are suffering from math burnout in your homeschool and you just need a complete break to rediscover the joy of math, definitely recommend that class.
So those were some of the highlights, but now let's talk about the lowlights. Some of the stuff that didn't work.
It's to be expected.
Yes, of course. So we're gonna start with books again, and for me, some of my least favorite books were The Lost Dinosaurs of Egypt. Oh boy.
Well, yeah, what can you say?
We discussed that one in another video in depth, so we'll have that linked. And then also What Jesus Saw from the Cross. I'm sorry, but just no.
That was our Lenten cross for sure. Yeah, just not what we had hoped. That's all right. Okay, and then my least favorite was definitely The Hittite Warrior. Not because it's a bad book or poorly written. The writing is very good.
Yeah.
It's just that I thought it was going to be about Uriah the Hittite and King David. And I was super excited about that, all pumped up. But it was the other Uriah, right?
Okay. Other one you never knew existed.
The other Uriah. So we talked about it again in a separate video. There was just no coming back for me after the letdown of it's not Uriah the Hittite.
It was kind of a rambly story as well. So
definitely probably least favorite for that reason. Okay, then we also have a book that we both agree falls into the category of most frustrating or most puzzling. And it's this one, How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler. Now, I know it's a classic, and I do love to read books about books, but this one was just a miss for us. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Now, there is good and helpful information scattered throughout this book, and some of that is well worth reading, but it is very rambly and it is quite outdated in parts. It was written well before the internet, so there's a lot of lengthy discussions about encyclopedias and reference books and all kinds of stuff like that.
Things that are not our go-to sources for information anymore. And there's also a whole section in here about the Syntopicon, right? Because everybody reads the Syntopicon. It's so important. And we're thinking, what the heck is the Syntopicon or Syntopicon? I don't even know how to say it. But according to the authors, it is a valuable, don't miss type of thing.
So valuable that we had to go look it up and figure out what it is. And apparently it is a set of reference books that is the key to another set of reference books published in the 1940s.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, there you go. The Syntopicon. So this book was just a really odd mixture of very helpful and very outdated information, just very difficult for us to get through in parts.
Yes. Someone should publish an updated version of this book, or like a good parts version where they keep all of the timeless and helpful information and get rid of some of the rest.
Now, don't get us wrong, we did learn a lot from it, and I'm glad that we read it, but it was just really kind of a hit and miss love-hate relationship with this one.
So let us know down in the comments if you have read this book and what you thought.
Then we also had a couple of programs that didn't quite work out like we had hoped. My least favorite program was definitely Life of Fred Trigonometry. It looked so much fun. We're big Fred fans here, but we are a little bit mathematically challenged. And although we could read and understand each chapter in the book, when we got to the practice problems, sometimes we wonder, like, did we read the right chapter? Like, how did he get from A to B? And the explanations, it just wasn't enough. Like, we needed more help than the book could give. So very frustrating.
Yeah, if you like math, are good at math, you might really like that. But for us average math people,
the average Joe math on the street,
we needed more support than that book gave. And then my least favorite program was The Power in Your Hands, which is an English program. It looked really good last fall when we picked it, and overall it was a good program, but there was also just some not so good parts and kind of some weird stuff in it. So
yeah, definitely there were challenges with this one. As the teacher, I had this whole complete teacher's manual, which I thought would be great, but nowhere in this book does it give you any lesson plan for day-to-day work or any suggested pacing for the course. So you have to figure out on your own. Should the student do one lesson a day or 3 lessons a week, or how should that go? And usually I can figure that out, pretty much on my own, and we can get into a good rhythm. But this book stumped me.
There's also an obscene amount of essays you have to write in here, and you don't get very long to do it. You're like writing an essay in a week.
Then you have to wonder, right, during the week that the student has to write the paper or the essay, do you also continue working on the other assignments in the book, or do you just focus on taking a week to write an essay? Because if you take out a whole week for every essay, and there are a lot of them in this book, then there's just no way at all that you could finish this program in a year.
And on the other hand, if you do keep going with the lessons while you're writing the essay, that's a lot of work because there are daily writing assignments in each lesson. So it's very overwhelming, and it's not healthy to be doing that much work.
I think it would be completely overwhelming for any student to try to keep up that pace. So I think, looking back, if I had known more about the program, I might have started it junior year and split it up over 2 years so that Kate could take her time and write the papers. But there are 23 essays and papers that you write throughout the course of the program. And then there are daily writing assignments, and that's just a lot.
It's a lot of work. Yes. And another thing is that the author does like to use that sort of cutesy, I'm your friend, I'm your buddy style of writing, which neither of us like. I don't think very many high schoolers want that in their writing program.
Right, you're not my buddy, you're my teacher.
You're not my friend, don't talk to me like that. But anyway, it is a good program overall, and we definitely learned a lot from it.
Would we use it again?
No.
I
would not do it again.
Maybe if we split it up over 2 years. So that is our recap of Kate's senior year of homeschooling here. It has been a fantastic journey, 20 years altogether of homeschooling here. We've definitely had our ups and downs. That's to be expected. But I don't know, maybe we should make another video about lessons we learned in 20 years of homeschooling, or what our favorite things from 20 years, what they were.
So let us know in the comments if that is something that you'd be interested in, because it'd be fun to evaluate the past 20 years and see what happened.
Look back. So we're done here, and in the meantime, we hope that you are finishing up your school year with a smile.
So we hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.